G'day everyone, I'm Aaron from Canyon Collective. We're here for Tech Tuesdays today. So basically what we're going to run through today is a air can service on a Rockshox Super Deluxe Ultimate shock. So this will go pretty much translates across if you've got a Monarch, if you've got any Super Deluxe or any Deluxe level shock from SRAM. Yeah, you'll be able to do this. So this is a super handy thing to know how to do. It's just a general maintenance requirement for your suspension. So keep it running happy, keep it running fresh, and yeah, then you won't get mad about it if your bike feels shitty. So we'll nut through this real quick. It's not super taxing to do. You don't need too many seals. You need a shock pump, you need pick tools, you need a pen, piece of paper, whatever you want to write on, isopropyl alcohol, and a seal kit from Rockshox. So nothing too rocket sciencey. So we'll just get cracking on this real quick. It's not too difficult to do. So first things first, in any service procedure, you should note down your compression clickers, rebound clickers, and PSI. That way you have an idea of what you will put it back to when you're finished. So we'll just nut out the clickers real quick. So that's 8 from closed. So always count from closed, so towards the plus sign, or towards, on a SRAM shock, towards the turtle. So it means everything from closed makes it way easier to, I don't know, talk to other techs, other mechanics, other people about clickers. Yeah, and nerd out with people. It's pretty rad. 5 rebound. So now that we've got those clickers down, we will quickly do a air pressure check. .149 PSI. Cool, easy. No worries. So we whip that one off. Now, you're best off actually checking your pressure in the bike. Having a negative chamber in these shocks will actually suck the shaft in if you just let the pressure out there. So do it in the bike if you can. I'm lucky enough to have this tool here, so I'll just do it in here. Small Allen key just to depress that valve. Cool, make sure there's no air left in that shock at all. Pull that out of your bike, or if you've got a fancy shock hand dyno, run that too. So now we can transfer over to make sure it's a soft jawed vise. If you don't have soft jaws, right angle alloy from your local hardware store helps a lot. So just grab that, then you'll be right. Pretty much. So we've let all of the pressure out of our air valve. Now we're just gonna undo righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? So just gonna undo the air can. Another thing that's worth mentioning is having the shock as clean as possible on the exterior before you open it. Just is a surefire way to get contaminants in it if it's got mud or debris or anything all over it. So just pull the air can up once you've unthreaded it, and voila, done deal. So that's your air can off. Pop that one aside. Pull your countermeasure spring off the shaft assembly. Pop that one aside. Pull this one out. Now, grab some shop towel and just give this one a wipe down. Clean that all off, clean off the old grease. You don't want any of that left. You don't want anything, preferably, left on the shock. Whip those off. The glide rings and the quad ring off, whip them off. Put them aside. Like so. Keep giving that one a good wipe. until you're happy with how clean it is. Grab your isopropyl alcohol and give it all a good spray. It'll wipe down. Obviously alcohol, being a white spirit, will dry on its own, but I should say isopropyl, not alcohol. Don't put beer in there, you'll be in trouble. Put that one aside. Now grab your air can. You can see this one's pretty filthy. Whip your dust seal off. Now this is where your seal pick comes in handy. So you just want to pierce your quad ring, being super careful that you don't scratch the inside of your air can. Drag down and then push that one through. That's done now. Whip that aside. You can generally get your finger in there. If you can't get your finger in there, find the little split in the wiper, in the glide ring, and it should just split and push out. No worries, done deal. Now this is the same deal. Air can's the same deal as what it is with your shaft. Give it a good wipe out with shop towel. You don't want anything left in there. You want it to be clean as the day it came out of the factory. So give it a nice wipe. This towel's starting to get a little bit covered in grease, so we might grab a freshie. Wipe that all out. Put that aside. Grab a freshie. Get in where the seals sit too. Make sure they're all nice and clean. That's the ticket. That's what we're doing here, is cleaning. If you don't like cleaning, don't do this job, basically. So that's nice and clean. Isopropyl alcohol inside. Give it a good wipe out. Same deal. Give the air can a good inspect once it's clean. Make sure there's no scratches on the inside of it, or any blemishes of any sort on the inside of the air can. If there is, replace your air can. You don't want to be losing wind. It's not much fun. Last thing we've got left to clean is the countermeasure spring. Same deal. Just wipe it down. Give it a nice, make sure it's nice and clean. It's critical to get all the shit out. Cool, that's nice and clean. Now what we're going to do is put the seals back inside the air can. So first things first, put your quad ring back in. So that goes into the second groove, not the first one, the second groove. That just slots in like that. You just push it in, no worries. Make sure it's seated at the bottom. Glide ring on top. So that can just, because it's got the split in it, you can push it in one end at a time. Make sure that's sitting nice and flush on top, just like that. Your dust seal, bang that, square on top, press it in, happy days. So, fresh seals, fresh air can, stoked. So now we're gonna put this back in the vise. Make sure it's all clean. While you're here, you may as well take note of how many tokens you've got in there. So Troy currently has 2 of the normal tokens, not the NAR tokens. So note that down as well. Super handy having this. Save them in your phone, do whatever you want to do. They're just good things to have noted down. So now we're going to replace the seal head. So we pull those suckers out. You're going to want a quad ring, 2 glide rings. So always easier just to install your quad ring to begin with. Flop that down on. Make sure it's sitting square and not twisted anywhere. And you're going to get your glide rings. Whack that. One on top, one on the bottom. Super simple stuff. Just like that. Perfect. So that's all clean. That's clean. That's all clean. Everything's clean and happy. Now we're going to get Rockshox Dynamic Seal Grease. And we are going to put a little bit on your fingy. And just wipe across the seal head seals there.
Not too much. You don't want heaps and heaps of this stuff sitting around on the inside of your shock, but you also don't want it to be dry. So just like that. Now you've still got it covered in your finger, so you may as well wipe the inside of your quad ring, glide rings and dust seal. Not too much. If you put too much on here, it just ends up on the exterior of your shock, on your shaft. So just give that a nice wipe in there. No worries, just like that. Now, there's one more tricky little seal that's easy to miss around the outside of your air can there. So we'll whack this one. Fresh one back in position, and then we're happy days. So you want to put your countermeasure spring back on before you install your air can. Make sure you put your countermeasure spring on before you install your air can, otherwise you'll be super mad because you have to undo everything that you've just done. So make sure that's all clean, that's all clean. You're gonna get 1550 air can lube from Rockshox here. Snap the head off your pillow packet that comes with your seal kit. Thanks guys. You don't want too much of this in there, you want like a mil of it. Just press her in there and then just coat it with your finger. So don't put too much in there, it'll make your shock not quite work right. Maybe a little bit more than that. Cool, just like that. So that's clean, that's happy, all good, everything's clean. Slot that back over the top, be super careful not to pinch any seals or anything, and just gently, be gentle, slide that down. And thread it up. Thread it on, thread it up, no worries. Cool. Whip that one out of the vise. Get rid of that seal grease that's around the base of the shaft there. Fresh marker ring, whack that on there, like so. You then have freshly serviced shock. Obviously when you're pumping it up, you will have to swap it from negative to positive in the bike, or if you have one of these fancy ass tools, which if you're watching this, you probably don't. So we're going to put the correct amount of pressure back in. We're also going to put our rebound and compression settings back to where they were. So compression settings was 8, so oops, from closed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then rebound from closed was 5. So that's 5 there. You still got your 2 tokens in. We're going to pump this up to 149 PSI. So put a little bit in, swap it from negative to positive. You will hear the air transferring between both chambers. Put a bit more in, do the same thing. I generally do this in like 30 to 40 PSI increments. Pull it up to 149. Swap it. time consuming part of it, getting it all right. Cool, so 159 there, 149, sorry. Whip your shock pump off. Air cap back on. Perfectly good Super Deluxe Ultimate rear shock ready for another 50 hours and then do a full service on it. Like I say, maintenance, key. Keep your suspension happy, keep your bike happy, you'll be happy, everyone will be happy. Obviously for you guys going into summer over in Europe, key time to do it. You've just given your bike abuse over winter, so giving it some love now is definitely beneficial. So get stuck in, get cracking, it's not overly hard, and yeah, happy trails. Hopefully see you at a World Cup sometime soon. Enjoy, ciao, bye.